Today I'm going to show you how to make a cheesecake in the Pampered quick cooker. I actually never thought I was ever going to make a cheesecake. It's just so much work having to put a water bath and everything in your oven, but in the quick cooker it's just so simple and easy. Might actually be a little too easy to make. I'm going to be using the Pampered Chef cheesecake recipe, but I have some changes that I make to it and I'll make sure to point those out to you. First things first, we have to get our crust ready. So you're going to be using your Springform Pan for the quick cooker, and I spray it with Pam baking spray. It has a flour in it. It makes your cheesecake come right out of the pan when it's all done. So you just want to coat all the sides and the bottom. I already went ahead and melted my butter. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons, but I like to do 4 because I find it helps the crust stay together a lot better. I like to buy my graham crackers already all crumbed up. So we need a 3/4 cup of those. And in my cheesecake, I like to add chopped almonds. So I went ahead and put, I guess it's about 1/8 of a cup of slivered almonds, and I'm just gonna go ahead and chop them up with the food chopper. And this is a coarse chop. And then you just mix that all up. So this go around, it does look a little dry, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and melt an additional tablespoon of butter and add it in. I like it to look wet before I put it into the pan. I went ahead and I actually melted 2 tablespoons of butter just so I'm safe. I also realized I never actually added the sugar to the crust, and it calls for 2 tablespoons. I ended up using the extra 2 tablespoons I melted, so we have a total of 6 tablespoons in here, and it is a lot moister, so it'll make it so we can press it into the pan a lot easier. Now you just press it in. You just want to try and make sure all the sides are about even. It's not going to be perfect, and that it all looks nice and pressed. And there you go. Now while I make the insides, I always put this in the fridge so it has time to slightly harden up before we add the cheesecake mixture on top of it. Now it's time to make the cheesecake filling. First you're going to need 2 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese at room temperature. Once you get them in the bowl, you're going to want to beat them with a hand mixer until they're nice and smooth. Now for the next ingredients, I have found it works better if you put the dries in first, mix it up, and then add 1 egg at a time, beating in between each egg. It helps incorporate everything together a lot better. First, I'm going to go ahead and mix in a tablespoon of cornstarch and a teaspoon of vanilla. And mix it all up. Next, we're going to be adding 2 eggs. I add them 1 at a time and mix in between each of them. And the last ingredient is 1/2 cup of sugar. And then again, mix it all up. Once that's all mixed up, you're going to grab your crust from the refrigerator and pour it on in. I like to give it a little twist and a tap just to flatten it out on top. You don't have to. Next, you're going to cover it with a piece of tin foil. And the Springform pan comes with a cradle, which makes it easier for putting it into the quick cooker and taking it out when it's all done. And now we're just gonna get the quick cooker ready. We need to add 1 cup of water. You're then gonna wanna place the trivet that comes with your quick cooker inside of it. And then you are going to set the cheesecake and the cradle right on top. Put your lid on, and we are going to select dessert. And that's it. And then you just let the quick cooker do its job. In 40 minutes, it's gonna beep, and you're gonna wanna let it sit for a 10-minute natural release. The 10-minute natural release is all done. Natural release means you just let it sit there. Ours has a timer, it counts up. It goes up to, I believe, 20 minutes, and it just means the steam is slowly releasing without you doing it. But now we are going to just hit the button and let the rest of the steam come out. Pull out the cheesecake. Once you get it out, you're gonna slowly pull your pan off of your cradle. Sometimes it's easy. There we go. Then you're gonna wanna take off your tin foil. I try to do this slowly because a lot of the condensation has collected on top, and I don't want that to pour all on top of the cake. And there you go. So you may look at your cake and think, it's not done. That looks completely raw in the middle. This is when you have to put it in the fridge. The recipe says a minimum of 3 hours. I usually let mine sit overnight, and that helps it to keep firming up. So when you cut into it that first time, it's a nice, smooth cheesecake. What I do with mine is I just set it on a plate and I put it in my fridge. I've gone ahead and taken my cheesecake out of the fridge. I ended up leaving mine in overnight. What you're gonna do is a Springform pan, so you're just gonna go ahead and release the spring. Comes right off. Now, to get it off your bottom tray, I get my cake tester releaser and I use the releasing side, and I take it and I run it along the edge all the way around. And then, if it's gonna work properly, you should just be able to slide it under. Set it down. Sometimes you can do it just with your fingers. And there you go. Nice cheesecake that everybody's gonna think you actually bought, but you didn't. You made it yourself. I'm gonna show you how to make a blueberry topping for your cheesecake. This recipe can also be used with strawberries. I also like to make caramel and lemon curd for the cheesecake, and if you're interested in seeing one of those recipes, let me know below. First, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of water. And then 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. We're going to mix those together. The recipe calls for a pound of strawberries. Since I'm using blueberries, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that to half. So we're gonna do a half a pound of blueberries. Now we need a half a cup of sugar. And 1 teaspoon, it calls for fresh lemon juice, but if you have it already pressed, you can use that. I don't have any, so I'm gonna go ahead and quickly juice some lemons. And now you're gonna turn the quick cooker on to sear. Once you get it set to sear, you're going to stir them up so everything gets mixed together, and you're gonna slowly start mashing them. I'm gonna be using my mix and mash. You can also use your mix and chop. I also recommend having something, whether it be one of our microwave grippers or a silicone heating pad, just to hold on to the side because the pot does get hot. The recipe says to keep stirring and mashing for 3 to 5 minutes or until it starts to thicken, kind of like a sauce would. All right, so it's been about 7 minutes. It has thickened up, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. Now it is not gonna be super thick like the consistency of, say, a jam or a jelly. When you put it in the fridge and let it sit and cool down for a while, then it will thicken up and it'll be just the perfect consistency for your cheesecake. I like to put it into one of our glass storage containers. It's one of our leak-proof glass storage containers. They are my favorite. You're gonna carefully remove your inner pot and then pour it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it in the fridge without the lid on. Due to the steam from it, it'll cause the lid to keep popping off, but within an hour or so, it should be cool enough that you can put your lid on top of it. And now you're ready to serve up dessert to all your friends with whatever fun topping you've made to go on it. All right, guys, I'll talk to you next time.